students, welcome to EduStar video session. This is class 11 chemistry and you are with me in the part 2 of the unit Some Basic Concepts of Chemistry. As chemistry is the study of atoms and molecules with extremely low atomic mass, a chemist has to deal with the large numbers such as Avogadro number 6022 followed by 20 zeros. It sounds weird and scientists need to rectify this problem by exponential notation. While performing mathematical operations, following points are to be kept in mind. Every experimental measurement has some sort of uncertainty associated with it. This may arise from either the limitation of measuring instrument or the skills of the persons making the measurement. The uncertainty in the calculated value is indicated by mentioning the number of significant figures. There are some sort of rules for assigning significant figures. Rule number 1. All non-zero numbers are significant. That is, numbers between 1 to 9 are considered as significant. Rule number 2. Zeros between non-zero numbers are considered as significant. Let me have an illustration for this. Look at this figure. It have zeros between the 3 and 1. These zeros are considered as significant and the zeros preceding the number 3 is not significant. The non-significant figures are indicated in the white color. Rule number 3. Leading zeros are never significant. That is, zeros before the decimal point are not considered as significant. Look at this. Here the blue colored zeros. Zeros found before the decimal and not in between the significant figures are considered as not significant. Rule number 4. Zeros on the end of the number are significant only if there is a decimal point. What they are saying? That is, after the decimal point, if any zeros are present, they are always considered to be significant. Here the zeros present at the end of the number 210, the last zero is considered as a significant. Moving to rule number 5, zeros at the end or right of the number are insignificant provided if they are the exact numbers. Suppose if you count a number of things, if it is 12, then the 12 can be write as 12.0000 likewise. But these zeros are considered as insignificant in case if they are the exact measurement or the exact values. It is also used for adding and subtracting. Look at this. Here the least number of significant figures after the decimal is 2. That is 0.18 gram, 0.20 gram. These two have a minimum value of 2 significant figures. So after summing these 4 numbers, the answer should also contain minimum 2 significant figures. You should round it at least to a number with having 2 decimal points. Moving to the multiplication and division, here the larger number can be denoted as the exponential notation. Now let us move on to accuracy and precision. These two terms are often used when we talk about measurements. Accuracy is the agreement of a particular value to the true value of the result. Precision refers to the closeness of various measurements for the same quantity. Accuracy also refers to the value when the actual value is very closer to that of the true value. But precision may be accurate or may not be accurate, but it refers to the closeness in the measured value. Let me illustrate this with an example. I am asking you to do a titration between an acid and base. The true value is 19. You are bringing a value of 18.9. Then your value is an accurate one. That is, your value is very close to the true value 19, right? Another student come with the value of 15. Since the value is not closer to the true value, I am asking the student to repeat the experiment for one more time. In the next time also, he is bringing the same 15 ml. Then we can consider these values are found to be precise but not accurate. Precise means he brings the same 15 ml for the repeated second time also. So his values are considered as precise. The precise values may or may not be accurate. These things you can see in this diagram. But an accurate value should always be closer to the true value. Error. What is error? The difference between the actual value and the measured value is found by the percentage of error. How to find the percentage of error? Measured value, that is the value actually we got minus the true value divided by the true value into 100 will gives you the percentage of error. Remember, percentage of error should always be positive value. Now let us move on to the law of chemical combination. The combination of elements to form compounds is always governed by the following basic laws. Law of conservation of mass, law of definite proportion. This law of definite proportion can also be called as law of constant proportion. Law number 3, law of multiple proportion. Fourth one, Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volume. Fifth one, Avogadro law. First, let us start with the law of conservation of mass. This law was put forth by the scientist Antoine Lavoisier in 1789. According to him, matter can be neither created nor destroyed. This was the principle of the law of conservation of mass. In all physical and chemical changes, that is, all physical and chemical reaction, there should be no net change in mass during the process. Let me illustrate with an example. In this picture itself, you can see 32 gram of sulfur added with 56 gram of iron. We get FeS, that is our product. It should weigh exactly 88 gram. When we add the mass of the reactant, it should be always equal to the mass of the product. There should not be any deviation in it. This is the thing set by the law of conservation of mass. The second law, law of definite proportion. This law was put forth by Joseph Proust. He stated that in a given compound always contains the same proportion of elements by weight irrespective of its source or irrespective of its preparational method. For illustration, I am taking carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide from the photosynthesis reaction contain carbon and oxygen in the ratio of 12:32. This 12 is the atomic weight of carbon and 32 is the atomic weight of 2 oxygen atoms. Similarly, carbon dioxide present in the air also contain the same proportion of 12:32. That is what he is saying means the carbon dioxide ratio shouldn't vary depending on the source. This is the law of definite proportion. The only one limitation of this law is it is not applicable to elements having isotopes. What are isotopes? Isotopes are the one which have same atomic number but different mass number. Those we call it as isotopes. Okay. The next one is law of multiple proportion. This law was put forth by Dalton in 1803. If two elements can combine with the fixed mass of the other element in the ratio of whole number. Consider nitrogen combined with 1 part of oxygen to form nitrogen monoxide NO, where nitrogen is present as 1 part, that is 14 gram of nitrogen. Nitrogen in the another hand combined with 2 part of oxygen to form nitrogen dioxide NO2, where nitrogen is present as 1 part, that is 14 gram of nitrogen. Ratio of masses of oxygen that combine with the fixed mass of nitrogen stands in the ratio of 1:2 in case of NO and NO2. That is, NO and NO2 have their oxygen proportion in the ratio of 1:2. Here the fixed mass is nitrogen and oxygen is varying in the two compounds NO and NO2. This is the law of multiple proportion. Moving to the fourth law, Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volume. This law was put forth by Gay-Lussac, where the gases combine or produce in a chemical reaction. They do so in a simple ratio by volume, provided all the gases are at constant temperature and pressure. For example, I am taking water where 100 ml of hydrogen combined with 50 ml of oxygen and bear a simple ratio of 2:1 with each other. Here hydrogen stands for 2 parts, so I am saying it as 100 ml, and oxygen stands for 1 part, and I am saying this as 1 part. So the ratio between the hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1. Now this is the Avogadro law. What is Avogadro law? It states that at the same temperature and pressure, equal volumes of gases contain equal number of molecules. This is the theme for deriving the Avogadro number. What is the Avogadro number? 6.023 into 10 to the power of 23. Right? For example, 100 centimeter cube volume of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur dioxide, all the gases contain Avogadro number of molecules in it. Irrespective of the nature of gases, all the gases present for a same quantity contains the same number of molecules in it. Now, this is the basic atomic theory proposed by Dalton. What he says is, matter is composed of tiny particles or indivisible atoms. all the atoms of this given element have identical physical and chemical properties. They also have identical mass. Atoms of different elements alone differ by their mass and atomic number. Point number 3, compounds are formed when atoms of different elements combined in a fixed ratio. Next point, chemical reactions involve reorganization of atoms. What is meant by the reorganization? That is, bond may form between the atoms or bond may break between the atoms. The proportion of the elements in the compounds may vary regarding the temperature and pressure. This is called as the chemical reactions involve reorganization of the atoms. We also remember that the reactants and products are formed in the chemical reaction as per the law of conservation of mass. That is, energy cannot be neither created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Next, this is atomic mass. What is atomic mass? Atomic mass is the summing up of number of protons and number of neutrons present inside the nucleus. These two alone constitute for the mass of a particular atom. Both the proton and neutron have an atomic mass of 1 AMU. AMU means atomic mass unit. For measuring or determining the atomic mass, carbon-12 is assigned a mass of exactly 12. That is, carbon-12 have an atomic mass of exactly 12. So, this is taken as a standard to measure all other atoms. Standard for measuring the atomic mass of all other atoms. 1 AMU is exactly equal to 1 by 12th of the weight of a carbon atom. 1 AMU is actually 1.66056 into 10 to the power of minus 24 gram. So we are actually using the average mass of elements. We are not using the exact atomic mass of the element. It may have some fractions in it to avoid all the confusions. We are just taking away the average of the atomic mass. For example, hydrogen, it doesn't have an atomic weight of 1. Of course, it stands for 1.00080 AMU. So, we are neglecting the minute difference in their atomic mass and we are taking the whole number for our calculation purposes. So, the molecular mass actually we are calculating is the roughly the average mass of the elements. Next thing, molecular mass. What is molecular mass? Molecular mass is the sum of the atomic mass present in a compound. Here we start with some examples. First, see molecular mass of NaOH, that is sodium hydroxide. Here the atomic weight of sodium is 23 and oxygen is 16. Sorry, I have made a small mistake. 23 plus 16, it should be like this. Instead it was given as equal to 23 plus 16 plus 1. So 16 is the atomic weight of oxygen and hydrogen atomic weight is 1. On summing all these numbers we are getting number 40. So 40 is the molecular mass of sodium hydroxide. The next one, molecular mass of water. Here there are two hydrogen atoms indicated as H2. So 2 into 1. What is the atomic weight of hydrogen? 1. So 2 into 1 plus 16 is the atomic weight of oxygen. On summing these things, we are getting 18. The next thing, molecular mass of benzene, C6H6. So there are 6 carbon atoms. So 6 into 12 plus hydrogen 6 atoms. So 6 into 1. So 6 into 12, 72. 72 plus 6, we are getting 78. 78 is the molecular mass of benzene, C6H6. Next one, molecular mass of Al2SO4 thrice. That is aluminium sulfate, Al2SO4 thrice. This here, there are 2 aluminium atoms, 2 into 27. 27 is the atomic mass of aluminium. And sulfur, there are 3 sulfurs. So 3 into 32 plus oxygen. Oxygen 4 times are there. Outside the bracket there is 3. So 4 into 3, 12. 12 into 16 is the atomic weight of oxygen. So on adding all these things, we are getting 346. In the next video, we will be discussing things how to balance a chemical equation and how to achieve the molality concepts. So we all will be discussing these things. Thank you.